is the length of time. Anxiety attacks can be anything from a few minutes to several hours long, where panic tends to be about 5 to 20 minutes on average. Another major difference is the onset. Anxiety can have a slow, gradual buildup. We have a lot of worry thoughts. We can have warning signs where we've been feeling uneasy for a while, or where we have kind of a baseline of anxiety. Panic is a sudden onset. We may never have experienced regular anxiety before, and then suddenly have a panic attack that may or may not have a known trigger. Anxiety often has a lot of ruminating and a thought process that goes with it, even in a state of intense anxiety. And panic attacks are more associated with a sense of detachment, where we may not feel as connected to the present moment or remember what happened during that,
When it comes to anxiety, one of the things that we experience the most often is people complaining that they feel like they have too many things going on in their head at once. This can be a running to-do list, a million things you're trying to remember, or just sudden thoughts popping into your head all the time, reminding you of different things that may be going on. So, how is this related to journaling? Well, when it comes to how our brain works, anxiety likes to keep items in your working memory. Your working memory isn't designed to hold much, maybe 8 to 10 things at a time, and it's reserved for things that we are actively thinking about or working on, hence the term working memory. When our brain decides we're done working on something, that's when it's moved to short-term or long-term memory, and we don't have to actively be thinking about it anymore to hold on to it. So when we journal, and perhaps make a list and write down immediately the things that pop into our mind or are consistently dragging our attention away from whatever we're doing, we send a signal to our brain that we don't need to be working on this item anymore. This encourages the process of our brain switching from working memory to short-term memory. Or even better, it tells our brain that we don't need to be working on this anymore, and we don't really need to hold on to the memories of it either, because now we have an external prompting system that will bring it back to the forefront.
So the first thing to do is to help them power through without escaping. That means you don't have to encourage them to avoid the thing that they're feeling anxious about, but give them baby steps, like you have to give them a back door so that they know that they're not trapped. So the back door might be, well, try these things first, and then if they don't work, we'll look at whether or not you can switch schools or whether or not you can do this or that. But first you want them to do everything they can to cope. And so you can give them baby steps in terms of what they can do to make the situation better for them, to face the situation. There are, of course, all kinds of different kinds of anxiety. There's social anxiety, there's school anxiety, test performance anxiety, general anxiety where everything is overwhelming. So it depends upon the kind of anxiety and the intensity of it. But the key to anxiety is the thought that there's no way out. So if they know there's a way out where they don't have to avoid, but that the way out is through, but through in a safer way, then you can really help them. Helping them to avoid can actually cause more anxiety, because the more they avoid, the bigger the anxiety gets, and the more you validate that the anxiety was real, that the fear was real, when most anxiety is based on things that don't happen or are never going to get worse, or say they're being ostracized at school have happened, but now they have to hold their head up high and they have to learn to cope with it.